Okay? That's my reaction, really, to the Kathleen Kennedy news that she's coming in, or she's staying with Lucasfilm for another 3 years. Okay. She's an amazingly successful producer, one of the most successful producers in the history of Hollywood, and I'm happy for her. So I got, really. I mean, unless I want to wade into the insanely ridiculous world that is the Star Wars Civil War right now, or the Star Wars fandom Civil War right now. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to uh pick a side? Kathleen Kennedy is an SJW feminazi. Or take that, man baby neckbeard virgins. Lol. F the haters. And I know, I personally would like to say that I'm friends with people that I see doing that. And I don't fucking care anymore. I'm done talking about the behind the scenes BS in Star Wars, like the business side of Star Wars and Lucasfilm. I don't care anymore. Because that's all we've been talking about. 80% of the conversations that seem to be going around in the Star Wars fandom for the past 9 months, ever since TLJ came out, have been this stupid fandom civil war, which, yeah, was started by racist assholes cyberbullying Kelly Marie Tran, bullying Kelly Marie Tran. And then that rolled into sexist attacks against Kelly Marie Tran. And then that turned into sexist attacks against Kathleen Kennedy because they didn't like the way Kathleen Kennedy was handling things. And sure, there is that nasty side of that argument, but like some people do have legitimate concerns about Kathleen Kennedy's leadership of Lucasfilm so far. She has made missteps, in my opinion. I don't think that hiring on these relatively fresh-faced directors was a super great idea. At least when we're talking about massive $200 million budget films. I want her to take risks on new, undiscovered talent, or untapped talent in the Hollywood sphere, because we'll get different stories from those people. But only really one of those has worked out, at least financially. Or, one of those has worked out financially and creatively, in my opinion, and that's Rian Johnson. You've got the incredibly messy issue with Rogue One. Sure, Rogue One made a $1.2 billion or a little over $1 billion or something ridiculous like that. But I'm convinced that at least a half of that was because people thought it was the sequel to Episode 7, and it was still riding that tidal wave. At least I think that was a big contributing factor to that box office success. And in addition to that, it wasn't an origin story, and that leads me to Solo, where, I'm sorry, don't get me wrong, I love Solo as a film. I thought it was a really good movie. I would say that Solo is probably 6th, 7th place out of all 11 Star Wars films, including the Clone Wars, for me. I mean, it's a good movie. I enjoyed myself. And I've watched it a couple of times already since it came out on digital and Blu-ray. I don't think it was a smart idea to make a Solo movie. I honestly feel like the Solo movie got made because John Kasdan wanted it made, and more importantly, Lawrence Kasdan wanted it made, and George was a supporter of it. I don't think it was a good business decision. Keep in mind, I'm a 20-year-old dude, living in a office that is covered with plastic Star Wars crap, and working a blue-collar job. So there's my expertise level on this. But I just don't think that it was a great business decision to make a Solo origin film. I mean, here, you know what? I was just researching some of this stuff. We'll take a look at this. I was just looking. I just thought up a bunch of origin stories that came out in like the 2010-ish era. And domestic grosses, this is just domestic, mind you. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, top domestic grosses. But I was thinking of films from the origin story perspective, and they can't be the first film in that cinematic universe or that cinematic series. So like no Iron Man or whatever. Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. Look at how tiny that box office was. It barely made any money. Barely made any money over its production budget. X-Men First Class. It made about double its money, but that's not a whole ton of money, and inflation isn't that big of a difference in between, what, 2011 and now? That's not a whole ton of money. And that's X-Men, which is a pretty freaking huge franchise, especially domestically, where it didn't even do too greatly. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Same sort of story, man. Yeah, it made double its budget, but so it's not it's not a knock it out of the park. It's not a home run. And even most surprisingly, Captain frickin' America, the first Avenger. This is after we had Iron Man, after Marvel Fever started going. This is one of the films that got Marvel Fever going even further. It only made $370 million. If we go back to 2011 yearly box office gross, domestic, it's all the way down at number 12. Thor was an origin story, and it's at number 10. There's just not a whole ton of money to be made in origin stories, in my opinion. And the idea of throwing $250 million and then another $200 million, or however much they ended up spending, on Solo, because keep in mind, I don't think that they have released the Solo budget. Double check here. Solo Star Wars story? Nope. Why do you think that is? Maybe because they had to reshoot 80% of the movie. It just... I don't know, guys. There are complaints to have about Kathleen Kennedy, but I'm also a 28-year-old dude sitting in an office surrounded by plastic crap working a blue-collar job. I have nothing to add to the conversation other than, maybe Solo would have been it was a bad idea. But I mean, she's also incredibly successful, so like I don't understand having strong opinions about Kathleen Kennedy one way or the other. I don't get it. I don't understand having strong feelings about it. I do empathize with the feeling of frustration with the blatantly sexist comments being hurled around. Like, dear God, go to the Facebook post from the official Star Wars page, wishing Kathleen Kennedy a happy birthday. Holy crap. I get being pissed off with that, but like I'm just done with this discourse, man. It's Kathleen Kennedy's an SJW Nazi. And then, F you, haters, look, she got hired on for another 3 years. I don't care. I'd rather talk about what's on my actual desktop right now. It's just a screen cap of Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. That's all it is. I'd rather talk about the emotion that Hayden Christensen is throwing through the screen into my heart than talk about something that's so unfathomable to me such as the movie industry. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this video other than just, well, everybody else is making Kathleen Kennedy videos. It's just frustrating to me, guys. I wish if I could give you my opinion on this, but I don't think 90% of the Star Wars fandom deserves an opinion on Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. Just let it go. You don't know better than she does. Maybe like the Collider crew, the Force Center podcast, they all kind of are tangentially connected into the Star Wars, or into the Hollywood business. The Hollywood Reporter would have, like, their crew might be able to talk about it, but they're not really a fandom outlet. I can't, like, the business side of Star Wars is just unfathomable to everyone. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing or why they're doing it. It's just, okay. Oh. Like, that's where I go every single time somebody asks me about the behind the scenes stuff. I hope that Rian Johnson's stuff gets made because I really like Rian Johnson's work. All of it. TLJ, Looper, Brothers Bloom, Brick. I also am not really that hyped for Dan and Dave's stuff, the Game of Thrones guys stuff, because whatever. There. It's like, they're like 2-sentence responses. Like, I just don't understand. I don't think that I have the knowledge to provide more nuance than that, so I don't make shit up in the first place. Of, this is a bad idea, that's a great idea. I don't know. I'm grumpy, as you can tell. I'm gonna go make a video that I actually want to make. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video I actually want to make. You guys have a good one. As always, may the Force be with you guys. Take care.